Hi everyone, my name is Mara Burrows. Today is March 29th, 2020. It is Sunday. I am ending week 3, lab 5, called bacterial morphology and staining techniques that we did this week. That was really fun to do. To start off, there were 2 exercises. The first exercise was teaching us how to directly stain using crystal violet and Congo red. So right here is my crystal violet slide. I don't know if you can see, there's still crystal violet in the center of the circle. The Congo red was a little bit harder, only because when it told you to take the swab after swabbing your teeth, to take it and dip it in the Congo red to agitate it onto the slide, I felt like the actual swab ended up actually taking up majority of the Congo red. So it was hard for me to even really see if it smeared onto the slide, but it did. I do have it here. It's really, really hard to see, but there is still a little bit of Congo red specifically in this area right here. So I did take a look at both slides underneath the microscope in 3 different settings, low, medium, and high. For the crystal violet slide, that actually was pretty neat. The bacterial cells were all purple. They were completely stained, no problems with that, and it was pretty cool to see because it was easily spottable, just because it was purple. The Congo red was actually, I felt was a lot cooler than the crystal violet, the negative staining, because you would think that because you used a Congo red dye that the actual cells would look reddish, but they actually come out looking crystal clear. The edges are still very defined, so you can still see the edges of the cells. My cells specifically, when I looked at it in high view, it looked clumped up together, but they looked like crystals. So I thought that was pretty cool to see. I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see this, but I do have a picture of how it looked like, and I thought that it was pretty neat. Well, I can't show you. It's not showing up on here, but yeah, it just looked like small little crystals, which I thought was pretty neat. No color to it whatsoever. And so I have learned the difference between the two is that Congo red is actually an acidic staining process. So you don't need to put it over heat. It kills the bacteria in itself, which I thought was kind of cool. The second step, or the second exercise of the lab, was to do staining on the 3 cultural broths that we did earlier on the previous labs. So I have them here. This is the S-epi. Please excuse the writing. When I put the decolorizer on, it took off the marker. So this is the S-epi. This is the yeast, S-seri. And this right here is the E. coli cells. So I thought this was pretty neat. Overall, the experiment was good. For a while, I was a little bit nervous with my S-epi because I don't know if you saw my previous labs or my previous videos on the labs. I didn't feel like my S-epi cultures are cultured enough. So I did put all my cultures in the refrigerator after the total of 4 days being out, and it actually did end up culturizing, which I thought was cool. So under the microscope, it's funny because I can actually see the S-epi a lot more faster than the S-seri and the E. coli. When I look at them in the microscope, I'm able to tell which ones are gram positive and which one is gram negative, depending on what color the bacterial cells were. So if they were purple, I knew that was gram positive, and if it was in a slightly pinkish color, then I knew that that was gram negative. The actual process wasn't that bad. I actually thought that it would stain more on the slide than it actually did, because there were some like E. coli. I don't feel like it stained enough. This was my very first slide that I did, so I think that might be why. Just because I was still getting the hang of it versus S. seri, which is completely stained out. S. epi was also fairly stained. The camera doesn't do it justice, but looking at all three under the microscope was really neat, because I was the one that grew the cultures at home, so it's kind of neat to know that it's actually still there, the bacteria. It's also kind of scary, because when you look at a slide, you think that there's nothing on there, but there actually is something on there. So overall, the lab was interesting. It was fun. It was a process. But it was definitely something fun to do. Thank you.